Ladies and gentlemen, fear is something we all experience. It creeps in when we step out of our comfort zones, when we face uncertainty, and when we chase dreams that seem just beyond our reach. But fear is not the enemy. In fact, it holds the power to become our greatest ally. Many people let fear stop them in their tracks. They see it as a wall too high to climb, a force that signals retreat. But fear is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that we are pushing ourselves toward growth. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of fear, but the ability to use it as fuel. Imagine a life where fear is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. Every time fear arises, it signals an opportunity. It means you care about what you're doing. It means you're stepping into something meaningful. Fear sharpens focus, heightens awareness, and gives us the energy to push forward if we learn to harness it. History is filled with people who turned fear into their greatest advantage. Innovators, athletes, leaders, they all felt fear. The difference, they didn't let it paralyze them. Instead, they channeled it into preparation, perseverance, and action. Fear became their driving force rather than their stopping point. So how do we turn fear into fuel? First, acknowledge it. Fear thrives in the shadows, but when you bring it into the light, it loses its grip. Recognize it for what it is, a natural response to challenge and change. Second, reframe it. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, see it as proof that you are pushing boundaries. Finally, take action. Fear weakens when met with movement. The moment you take a step forward, even a small one, you take control. Success is not about never feeling fear. It's about using it to propel yourself forward. The greatest achievements come from those who feel fear and move forward anyway. The next time fear knocks on your door, welcome it. Let it remind you that you are on the edge of something great. Let it fuel your passion, your courage, and your journey to success. Fear is often misunderstood. Most people see it as a warning sign to stop, a force that holds them back, or an emotion to avoid at all costs. But fear itself is not the enemy. It is simply a reaction to uncertainty, challenge, or the unknown. The real challenge is not fear itself, but how we respond to it. Fear has a purpose. It is a natural part of being human, designed to keep us alert and aware of potential risks. But in today's world, fear is often triggered not by physical danger, but by new experiences, big decisions, and the possibility of failure. The key to growth and success is recognizing that fear is not trying to stop us. It is pushing us to pay attention, prepare, and rise to the occasion. Many people believe that those who succeed are fearless, but that's not true. The most accomplished individuals in any field, whether business, sports, entertainment, or personal development, feel fear just like everyone else. The difference is in how they interpret it. Instead of seeing fear as a sign to retreat, they see it as an indication that they are on the edge of something important. They embrace fear as a sign of progress rather than a signal of danger. Think about the moments in life when fear was strongest, perhaps a job interview, a public speech, or starting something new. In those moments, fear did not mean you were incapable. It meant you were stepping into a challenge. It meant you cared about the outcome. The very presence of fear was proof that you were pushing beyond your comfort zone, moving toward growth. Instead of treating fear as a barrier, it can be used as a motivator. It sharpens focus, increases adrenaline, and fuels determination. When fear arises, it forces us to prepare more, think more deeply, and put in greater effort. Fear can be the energy that drives us forward if we learn to channel it rather than resist it. The truth is, fear will always be present when we aim for something greater than ourselves. It is not something to eliminate, but something to embrace. It is a sign of ambition, courage, and the willingness to grow. By shifting the perspective on fear, it transforms from an obstacle into a powerful force for success. Fear is often seen as a negative emotion, something to be avoided or overcome. However, what many fail to realize is that fear is actually a signal, an indication that we are stepping into something meaningful. It arises when we are about to challenge ourselves, take risks, or push beyond our comfort zones. Instead of treating fear as a roadblock, we should recognize it as a sign that we are on the right path. When we experience fear, it means that something important is at stake. If we didn't care about the outcome, we wouldn't feel fear at all. The presence of fear signals that we are engaging in something that has the potential to change us. It could be a new job opportunity, starting a business, pursuing a dream, or even speaking up for what we believe in. These moments of fear are actually moments of opportunity. Opportunities to grow, to learn, and to prove to ourselves what we are capable of. Many of the greatest achievements in history came from people who felt fear but moved forward anyway. Innovators, artists, athletes, and leaders all face fear, but they understand that it is not a reason to stop. Instead, they recognize it as a sign that they are moving towards something that matters. They use fear as a guide, helping them identify the challenges that will lead to the greatest rewards. Consider a time in your own life when fear was present. Perhaps it was before taking a big exam, stepping onto a stage, or making a difficult decision. That fear was not there to stop you, it was there to prepare you. It heightened your senses, made you more aware, and reminded you that you were doing something significant. Instead of running from it, what if you had embraced it as a sign that you were on the verge of growth? Reframing fear as an indicator of opportunity changes everything. Instead of seeing it as a reason to retreat, it can be used as motivation to move forward. The strongest moments of fear often come just before breakthrough. Those who recognize this are able to turn fear into a tool rather than a trap. Every time fear arises, it is a reminder that something valuable lies ahead, and the only way to reach it is to keep going. Success is not about the absence of fear, it is about how we respond to it. Every successful person, whether in business, sports, entertainment, or leadership, has felt fear at some point. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain stuck is not that one group is fearless and the other is not. The real difference lies in how they interpret and use their fear. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty and challenge. It signals that we are stepping into something unfamiliar or difficult. But instead of viewing it as a stop sign, successful people see it as a sign of progress. They understand that fear is a sign they are growing, learning, and pushing beyond their limits. Rather than letting fear paralyze them, they use it as fuel to sharpen their focus and strengthen their determination. Take, for example, top athletes who feel fear before a big game. They don't let it consume them. Instead, they channel that energy into heightened concentration and peak performance. Business leaders making risky decisions also feel fear, but they analyze it, prepare for challenges, and take calculated risks. Public speakers experience fear before stepping onto a stage, yet they transform that nervous energy into passion and presence. The common thread among these individuals is not fearlessness, but the ability to reframe fear as a source of motivation rather than hesitation. One of the reasons successful people harness fear so effectively is that they see it as part of the process. They expect it, embrace it, and know that it will always be present when pursuing something worthwhile. Instead of trying to avoid or eliminate fear, they learn to work with it. They recognize that fear is simply a sign that they are stepping outside their comfort zones, which is exactly where growth happens. Many people allow fear to stop them because they believe it means they are not ready or not good enough. But those who succeed know that fear does not mean they should turn back. It means they are moving in the right direction. The key is to take action despite fear, to move forward even when uncertainty is present. By doing this repeatedly, fear loses its power, confidence grows, and success becomes inevitable. Fear is not a weakness, it is a sign of ambition. The most accomplished individuals do not wait for fear to disappear before they take action. They step forward with fear by their side, knowing that it is not a barrier, but a powerful force that can drive them toward their goals. Fear often feels overwhelming because it thrives in the unknown. When we don't fully understand something, or when we are stepping into unfamiliar territory, fear intensifies. But one of the most powerful ways to take control of fear is to acknowledge it and reframe it. Instead of treating fear as something negative, we can choose to see it as a sign of growth and progress. The first step in managing fear is acknowledging it. Many people try to suppress or ignore their fears, believing that if they don't think about them, they will go away. But fear does not disappear when ignored. It only grows stronger in the background. Acknowledging fear means facing it head on, recognizing that it exists and understanding why it is there. When we name our fears, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty, we take away some of their power. We shift from being controlled by fear to becoming aware of it. Once we acknowledge fear, the next step is to reframe it. Most people see fear as a stop sign, an indication that they are not ready or that something is too risky. But fear can also be seen as a green light, a sign that we are stepping into a challenge worth pursuing. Instead of saying, "I am afraid, so I should stop," we can say, "I am afraid because I am growing." This simple shift in mindset can make a world of difference. Consider the difference between fear and excitement. Physically, they feel almost the same. Our heart races, our breathing changes, and our senses become sharper. But the way we interpret those feelings makes all the difference. A person standing backstage before a big speech might think, "I'm terrified, what if I fail?" While another might think, "I'm excited, this is an opportunity to share my message." The situation is the same, but the mindset changes everything. Reframing fear is not about pretending it doesn't exist. It's about changing the way we relate to it. Instead of treating it as a negative force, we can see it as energy, a sign that something important is happening. The most successful people in the world feel fear just like everyone else, but they choose to use it as a source of motivation rather than allowing it to hold them back. By acknowledging fear and reframing it, we gain the ability to move forward with confidence no matter the challenges we face. One of the most effective ways to overcome fear is by taking action. Fear has a way of magnifying itself when we hesitate, overthink, or stand still. It grows larger the more we allow it to occupy our thoughts. However, the moment we take a step, no matter how small, the power of fear begins to diminish. Action is the antidote to fear. When we act in the face of fear, we are actively choosing to move beyond the grip that fear has on us. The fear that once seemed so overwhelming begins to lose its control as we make progress. Taking action doesn't mean that fear disappears entirely, but it does mean that we are no longer allowing fear to dictate our decisions. The simple act of moving forward, even in the smallest way, creates momentum, which in turn diminishes the power of fear. Think about a time when fear held you back. Perhaps it was starting a new project, making a difficult decision, or speaking up in a meeting. In those moments, fear probably seemed all-encompassing. But as soon as you took the first step, whether it was making the first phone call, drafting an email, or just taking a deep breath and starting, you likely felt a shift. Suddenly, the fear wasn't as powerful, and the task at hand seemed more manageable. That's because action breaks the cycle of overthinking. It moves you from a place of fear-driven paralysis to a place of forward movement. The key is to start. So often, the anticipation of fear is worse than the fear itself. We build up these scenarios in our heads, imagining worst-case outcomes that may never come to pass. But when we take action, we prove to ourselves that our fears were often based on assumptions rather than reality. With every step forward, we gain confidence and clarity, and fear has less room to grow. This doesn't mean that every action needs to be big or bold. Small, consistent actions can have just as much of an impact. In fact, small actions are often the most effective way to combat fear because they allow us to build momentum without overwhelming ourselves. Every small success creates a positive feedback loop, reinforcing the belief that we can handle whatever challenges lie ahead. Over time, this steady accumulation of small actions results in significant progress, and fear becomes something we know we can handle rather than something that holds us back. Taking action also allows us to gain real-world feedback. When we are stuck in our heads, fear often grows based on uncertainty and speculation. But by taking action, we get immediate results, whether they are successes or setbacks, and we learn how to adjust and adapt. This feedback loop helps us refine our approach, build resilience, and ultimately overcome the fear that once seemed insurmountable. The important thing to remember is that fear doesn't have to be an obstacle. It can be the spark that pushes us forward. Action allows us to confront fear, break through the paralysis it causes, and make progress toward our goals. Each step we take, no matter how small, weakens the grip of fear and builds our confidence in the process. By taking action, we regain control, and fear becomes something we move through rather than something that holds us back. Fear, when viewed through the right lens, can become an essential fuel for success. It is not something to fear, but something to embrace, to use as a driving force that propels us forward toward our goals. The most successful individuals are not those who are free from fear, but those who understand that fear is an inevitable part of the journey. They know that fear doesn't signal defeat or the end of the road. It signals the beginning of something powerful, an opportunity to push past limitations and achieve greatness. Every time fear arises, it offers us a chance to confront our doubts, challenge our boundaries, and step into a space where growth happens. Fear can fuel determination, sharpen our focus, and increase our resilience. It tells us that we are facing something that matters, something that has the potential to change us and take us to places we've never been before. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown, they are all part of the human experience. But when we learn to harness these fears and use them to fuel our determination, they stop being obstacles. Instead, they become stepping stones on the path to success. Fear no longer holds power over us. Instead, we hold power over fear. We make it work for us, channeling it into motivation, energy, and action. In life, there will always be moments of uncertainty, challenges that seem insurmountable, and fears that try to hold us back. But success is not about avoiding fear. It's about moving forward in spite of it. Every time we face fear head-on, we build the muscle of courage and resilience. And with each challenge we overcome, the next one becomes a little easier to face. So when fear knocks on your door, don't run from it. Let it be a reminder that you are on the cusp of something important. Let it fuel your passion, drive your efforts, and guide you towards success. Fear is not a barrier, it's a tool. Acknowledge it, reframe it, take action, and let it propel you forward. The key to success is not the absence of fear, but the ability to turn it into fuel that moves you toward your dreams. Thank you.